Hello, and welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited that you are listening. This is a place where I talk about holistic self care for optimal health, which is kind of my definition of biohacking right now. I am super into everything wellness and nutrition and optimal health and optimizing everything. So, this is kind of where I get to just talk about that. And if you're new, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining our little community that we have. I have a new podcast logo out. Yay! This is so much better than the old one that I had. I am really excited about this one. I am actually doing a big rebranding. So that's coming out in the fall. My website just has a ton of old photos on it, even the colors and the fonts and everything. We just kind of need an upgrade, And yeah, I think most online brands kind of rebrand every 2 years or so, might even be every year. And I am definitely the same way. So my stuff is just no longer applicable. And I'm really excited. I'm doing a big photo shoot in August in Tofino in Canada, which is this beautiful surf community. So yes, you can surf in Canada. Essentially, Tofino is on Vancouver Island and it's on the west side. So it's like when you look out from the ocean, when you're in Tofino, you like the next land is, I think it's Japan. So it's like the very end of Canada and it's just wide open ocean and it's stunning. So I'm very excited because I'm planning my photo shoot for there. It's very nature focused. I'm doing it at this really cool house that has a sauna and a cold plunge and a beautiful kitchen. And we're going to do sunset and all of the different biohacking things for it. And so I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited to show everyone those photos and just like really be able to, like represent what I do better. And so that is coming. And this podcast logo that I have right now is just kind of what I'm using on the intermediate time between now and that rebrand. And so stay tuned for that. Today's episode is with my friend, Vanessa Grutman, a fellow Canadian. And this one was so fun. Like when I get to interview my friends, it's just so easy. Like I just love it. It's not even just so easy. There's just so much to talk about. And it kind of feels like one of those things where it's a conversation that we have and it's just like microphones there versus complete like Q&A like some other episodes. So I really appreciated this one. She is a complete delight and really just knows so much about detoxing and cleansing, way more than I know. Okay. Like way more. Even though I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and have studied cleansing somewhat, she still knows a lot more than I do. And it was awesome to pick her brain about a lot of different things. So I think a lot of people are going to really like this. I am doing a cleanse right now, and this is my preconception cleanse. I actually named it Baby Steps, which I think is so cute because like little daily steps every day until you're ready to start conceiving to have a baby. And I kind of detail it in the episode, so I'm not going to get into it now, but it's 6 things that I'm doing every single day. And my husband is doing them as well. And it's important because you want to cleanse and detox, obviously, before pregnancy and breastfeeding. And I think we kind of just talked about it in this episode, but babies now are born with so many toxins in them, unfortunately. And so it's kind of like, what can we do before we get pregnant to really support that and reduce that in general? So I talk about this on the episode. I don't want to get into the weeds of it right now, but there's so much to say there. And I'm thinking about creating some sort of guide or like digital download for people for doing a preconception cleanse. I have a lot of friends in this space who are like, hey, what can I do? But I want to do something that's not super intense, but I also want to do more than take a prenatal. So there's this like in between zone that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And that is kind of what we talked about today, as well as just like general cleanses for everybody. So a lot of people are dealing with candida and dysbiosis and gut issues and skin issues. And it's like, okay, like how do we just like clean up the body and really just support ourselves? Yeah. So it's interesting going deep into the world of cleanses. Some are too restrictive for sure, but the one that I'm doing, I think is pretty good. And the ones that Vanessa recommends are also great as well. So I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode. And a shout out to AG1. So funny. My brother is actually, I have an older brother. Well, I have two brothers. So my older brother is traveling. He leaves for Italy today. He's going for a month. He's taking some time off work. And he was like, okay, what do I take with me when I'm flying to ensure that I'm like healthy and support me as needed? And I was like, dude, basically all you need is AG1. And I still stand by that because it's really all you do need when you're traveling. So he bought a bunch of the single serving packets that you take that can be just added directly to water. And his plan is kind of to take them on the planes when traveling around Europe, when driving every day, one a day type of thing. So he got them and I am super happy for him. And there's postbiotics in them and prebiotics, and it's just a really healthy all-round supplement to take. And I really recommend it to everybody. I've actually run out, so I actually need to get more. And I've noticed I haven't been taking it and I need it in my daily routine. And a shout out to No Chi, which is the menstrual support product that I'm taking. It's spelled NOOCI. They're actually coming on my podcast very soon because I was like, I love what you're doing. Let's talk about it. They have a supplement that is called New Moon, and it's basically for women to support their menstrual cycles. All of their supplements are rooted in traditional Chinese medicine, and they take the research that's behind all of these herbs in TCM and they make it into capsules, into supplements, and they make it very accessible and easy for everybody. And that's why I love it, because I actually really do love traditional Chinese medicine. I've done various things from it before, like tinctures, acupuncture, cupping. I think there's one called moxibustion. That is not how you say that. But I have been into Chinese medicine for quite a while now. So this supplement is perfect, fits right in, and really does support the menstrual cycle. So if you're having any weird symptoms like irregular cycles or bloating or anything like that, PMS, skin reactions, I really do recommend you try this and try some herbs that can really support you in that way. And also Bioptimizers, I love their products. I actually took their their sleep breakthrough powder last night, and I've been taking it this week. I've had a bit of a rough week health-wise, and it's been awesome to be able to take something that helps me fall asleep so quickly and not wake up throughout the night. So I took it last night. It has a bunch of melatonin precursors in it, which is nice because there's a lot of people out there who actually don't like melatonin. It can make them feel very sluggish the next day. And so this definitely does not do that. It's basically just rooted in ingredients that support melatonin production. So that's why I love it. I have it about an hour before I go to bed in a glass of water. Very easy to remember. I put it in my bathroom and I just know it's in there right before bedtime. And yeah, one of my favorites. So all of these AG1, No Chi, and Bioptimizers are linked on my website and in the show notes. Discount code is biohackingbrittany in all capitals. Go to my website. It's all there, biohackingbrittany.com, and you can check it out and enjoy this episode all about cleansing and detoxing. And I know you're going to get so much out of it because I had such a good conversation, and this is such a new area for me to explore. So I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate Vanessa's time. So thank you, Vanessa, for coming on, and enjoy this episode. And I will catch you next week for another one. Welcome to Biohacking with Brittany. I am so excited that you are joining for another episode this week. I have a friend of mine on who I got to meet at the Biohacking Conference in person this year, and her name is Vanessa Grutman. She is a certified health coach, a integrative health practitioner, kinesiologist, and a successful entrepreneur with a passion for biohacking and holistic wellness. She has experienced burnout and transformation firsthand, which we're going to dive into. And now she helps high achieving women break free from patterns of performance and perfectionism, which I definitely have, and tapping into their real full potential. So, Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I know. It's wild that the first time we met was actually in Florida in June, because I worked with your previous company in Vancouver and we were both in BC, and we just never actually met in person.
I know. I actually wasn't even sure. When we saw each other, I just felt like I knew you. And I'm like, are you sure we never met? This is wild. But
yeah. Yeah. But I wonder if it's because when we first got connected, it was deep in COVID times when people weren't really meeting up or hanging out. And I think that might have been why we never actually met. But meeting in person was incredible. So honestly, you were one of my favorite people at the Biohacking Conference. I just love your energy. And I think it's so applicable and makes so much sense that you help women with their energy. So can you take us kind of on your entrepreneurship journey? How did you go from your previous business to what you're doing right now?
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, I guess we can go back to my first love has always been wellness. I did my degree in kinesiology, and I did that for a couple years to realize that the business side was so fun and intriguing to me. And so I kind of dived right into the skin health industry. And so I felt like I was still touching on health, but in a different capacity. And that's what led me to co-found Project Skin MD in Vancouver, which was a 12-year journey. And that brings us back to, I guess, we decided to sell the company in 2019. And at that point, I had been pouring my entire life into this business, even though I had birthed two baby, I just still was pushing through, didn't take any mat leave. And so when we sold the company, I was really, really taken aback, and I did not expect that, but I kind of fell to pieces. That's really when I hit a wall and I realized I was completely burnt out. I realized that my identity had been so wrapped into this business, and I had completely forgotten myself along the way. And so I had to go back to my wellness background and to some of the things I knew to try to heal myself and just get out of this sticky time in my life. And so that's when I decided to go and get certified as a health coach, as an integrated health practitioner. And to be honest, the intention at first was really just to heal myself. And that's what I did. I really kind of went down the rabbit hole of detoxing, heavy metal, mold, all the things. And I really slowly but surely picked myself back up and healed myself up until a point where I just felt like this was such important work that every woman I knew needed to know about this. And now I'm grateful enough that that's what I get to do for a living. Now I'm completely exited from that previous company, now building this new one, but having so much fun and coming with a very different energy, a very different intention. Of course, I've learned a lot from this experience. So yeah.
I love that. I love that you have taken your own personal experience and you're helping other clients with it. I think that is really what makes people successful when they are consultants or coaches. I'm so curious that you had two kids and you didn't take mat leave. As you know, I'm on my own like fertility health journey. So this is so interesting to me. So like, how did you do that? What did that actually look like day to day?
Oh, well, I did take some time and I wasn't in the office every day, but I was on my computer every nap time. And it's funny because my son, my second one, he was called the director of HR because the poor baby, he was literally like lying on the boardroom table as I was doing interviews. And I even had to fire someone with him sleeping on me. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
and we were kind of joking, but not. But we were like, okay, Thomas is the director of HR. Like he calls the shots because he was there every step of the way. So it wasn't easy. I have to say, nobody forced me to do this. This was, of my own making. I just had fun while doing it, but I didn't really realize that I was pushing a bit too hard.
Yeah. So for those out there who might be pregnant or on their own similar journey, trying to navigate maternity leave, whether they are entrepreneurs or not, do you have any advice for them knowing your background and your experience?
Oh my gosh. And I think this is such an individual journey, but an important thing is to ask yourself, and this is what was a bit triggering for me in my healing journey. What is the energy behind this like working, this hustle? Is it, and when I really looked at it for myself, I realized I was doing it to feel validated, to be seen, to feel worthy. Do you see how that's coming from a place of lack? And so, now that's why I'm saying like I bring such a different intention in this business because I still get stuff done, but I have such a different intention. I'm not doing it to feel seen, to feel validated because I have healed those limiting beliefs and those parts of myself. So if you are in on this journey contemplating a mat leave or not, it's really asking yourself, are you trying to do it for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons? And really trying to be curious about that. That would be because only you will have the answer to that question, but really bringing curiosity in and allowing yourself to see your actions for what they truly are. And that's hard. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think your perspective is so relatable, especially for myself and for other women out there who have a business. Like, obviously, it's great for some people who can take a long time off and really be with their kids, but it's so different when you have your own business and it needs you. Like, it needs you to move forward. It's a completely different energy. And it's like, how do you show up as a new mom 100% and try to show up as a business owner, whatever your role is, 100% as well? And that's what leads to burnout for so many women.
Yeah. And it's also it's really that energy alignment, but also the concept of healthy boundaries, right? I think it's 100% doable to do this well, as an entrepreneur, to marry both, let's say you, but really being anchored also in some of that feminine energy. And I think that's the part I completely skipped when I had my kids at a young age. Like now I'm double dipping and trying to make up for it. But, that's the beautiful thing about being a mother is it forces you into that feminine energy, which is the caring, the nurturing, the loving, the creative, the surrendering parts of you that are able to let go and just enjoy. But I wasn't there. I was still in the hustle. Like I still was approaching it as a hustle. It was just like another thing I had to do. So, and I think that's the dangerous, slippery road is when you really don't take the time to be in both energies. I always say the masculine energy is not bad because that's what's giving you vision and direction. When it's from a healthy place, it really allows you to grow and move your business forward. But when it's coming from a wounded place, like where I was, it's just such a misalignment. And it just completely shields you from that feminine energy, which we all have within us. We all have, whether you're a male or a female, we all have both energies. And the key is learning to balance them and dip into both. But for high achieving women, which is really the woman I speak to and myself, the challenge is actually the feminine energy. And if you're on a fertility journey, and I do this with my clients all the time, it's actually really hard to get pregnant if you're in your masculine energy.
Yeah, 100%. I totally can relate to that in terms of just being in your masculine energy so much. And you actually don't realize how much you're in your masculine until there's something so different. And then you can see like the contrast. So, for example, my family was here for the weekend, this past weekend, and they brought their niece, and their niece is 6 months old. And I got to hang out with a 6 month old for like 3 days. And I was like, wow, like this is feminine energy. Like the kid is obviously not allowed to be around any screens. So there's no phones, there's no computers, there's no TV, and we're just hanging out in the garden with a baby.
It's
Like,
pure.
it's so pure, and there's no stress. There's no like go, to do. Like you just have to hang out with the kid until it's next nap time. So you have like an hour and you're just chilling in the grass, like doing nothing, counting rocks, and that's it. And like that, when you slow time down that much, you're like, wow, okay, this is actually the vibe that I should try to be in more often.
Yeah. And that's what your nervous system wants you to do. That's what we're designed to be at a cellular level, right? And so when we forego that all the time, that's when we start seeing things falling apart in the body. That's when we start to see dis-ease, things, not flowing. That's when we start seeing lots of random symptoms. And so it really is important. I didn't realize it until I burnt out.
Yeah. So you work with mostly like high achieving women, like I kind of said earlier, who struggle with like performance and perfectionism. What are some of the common patterns or challenges that you've seen in these women, and how do you kind of tailor your approach to really help them and work through them?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because they come to me with obviously all different histories and different journeys, but at the end of the day, it's almost always the same pattern, which means their nervous system is completely shot from being in that masculine energy 24/7 and trying to be in control of absolutely everything. Giving, saving everybody around them except themselves. So that's a pattern I see all the time. And how that actually shows up in the body is that they're tired upon waking, they have brain fog, they're bloated after every single meal, they're gaining weight that they absolutely cannot shed, they're feeling just so overwhelmed, maybe anxious, depressed. It's just like a whole array of symptoms that on paper look completely unrelated. And that's often what's going to puzzle all doctors out there, and all these women, usually when they come to me, they've seen all the specialists and their doctors, and all their lab work is great. And they've been told that they're perfectly healthy, right? But they know that they're not deep down, because things like they're not able to function anymore. So that's the pattern that I see in everybody. And of course, I meet them where they are. But my approach is really, really at first, it's less is more. Because as a high achieving woman, we tend to think that we always need more things, whether it's like more supplements, a bigger workout, more things to fix us. And in my experience, it's actually the opposite. All that the body wants is more safety signals. And how do we do that? Is by going back to basics.
Yeah, it's interesting how so many people kind of need the basics, but when you talk about it, like it just doesn't get the same attention, right?
It's not
Like
sexy.
it's not sexy. You're not like, oh, there's this new device and it does this. It's just like, go for a walk in nature. And everyone's like, yeah, I get it. But the thing is, no one's doing it really. Or I'm sure, as you see with your clients, people aren't doing it enough. And so it's like, it's not the question of like, how do you make it sexy? It's like, I guess, how do you just educate people on the benefits and how transformative it can be if we just kind of stick to it?
Hmm. This is what I do. Usually it's like the power of one. We start with one thing that will give them enough of a change so that they can have a taste and be like, oh, wait a minute, I just did that and I feel so good. And then from there, they have a little bit more bandwidth. And then I just keep layering, 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 layering. And I might pull some like fancy, sexy tools in there to, keep them interested, of course. But I think a lot of them, it's interesting when I tell them how their nervous system is and how they've been in fight or flight for a decade plus. A lot of them actually sometimes they just start crying because they're like, wow, nobody's ever told me this. And it's exactly that. And at that point, you actually don't need it to be sexy because you'll do whatever it takes, to feel better and to not wake up tired and to sleep through the night and to feel rested. And so I always start with getting them to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system at least once a day. It sounds silly, but trust me, it's a big ask for anybody listening. If you have your own business, if you're hustling, if you're always on your phone checking emails, social media, you're always stimulated. You're never in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is really the only time your body can rest, digest, heal, rejuvenate.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone's listening and they maybe don't know the difference, how can you tell when you're actually in your parasympathetic state?
Hmm. I think, well, you know what I just did? That sigh.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be a good sign. As soon as you start feeling the shoulders coming down, you start feeling, instead of being in a state of contraction, you start feeling a release, like you're loosening the grip. When you start, this is a funny one, but so important. When you start noticing that you're breathing, that means you're just like, you're more connected, more tapped into your body. And you're actually noticing your heartbeat, noticing your breathing. Like all my clients, like we have the 5 deep breath every hour kind of rule, using the belly, like deep belly breath, giving more flow, bringing more oxygen everywhere that your body is craving it. It's so basic, yet nobody talks about this stuff. Like we're not taught these things at school. And that's why I'm like, my kids are, I mean, that's the only thing they know, thankfully. But, I teach them how to breathe. And when they injured themselves, like how to breathe through it. And I'm like, this is the kind of stuff that would change an entire community population. It would just change the world if we all knew how to breathe before responding. It's so basic, but that is an example of just trying to calm that nervous response.
Yeah, I love that a lot. I think something for me as well that I notice is if I'm like clenching my abs or my stomach, then I'm
Mm.
like, oh, like I am not relaxed right now. But if I'm breathing and doing like belly breaths and every muscle is just relaxed, then I'm like, okay, I feel better. Shoulders, another great one, like you said, like if my neck is like perched forward, it's like, okay, like let's just like realign the whole body to feel better, I think is really important. And I love like how you just talk about like energy realignment in general. I know you also focus a lot on detoxification, and I'm very interested in this. So, what type of protocols do you have around detoxification for the women who come to see you?
Yeah. So it's a 7-day liver detoxification. And I use this tool as basically a way to force women back into their body. And sure, you can do a detox, and I'm sure there's so many different ones out there: detox cleanses, juice cleanses, water fast, all the things. And you can do that and you can push through it, right? Still in that masculine hustling energy. And you'll probably see some results. But when I get my clients to detox with me, we're digging deep, because when you are detoxing, the purpose of that is really to move toxins that are accumulated in your body to move them out so that you get more space. You can create more flow. Our liver gets really sluggish over time simply because we unfortunately live in a very toxic world nowadays. Toxins are everywhere in the air we breathe, in the water we drink, the food we eat. So we can't escape it. And our liver was never, although yes, it is our natural detoxifying organ, it never really was designed to be put up against the immense amount of toxins we're exposed to every day. And so this detox is really helpful to shed those toxins who tend to accumulate in our fat cells, creating, weight gain and cellulite and things like that. And it helps to move them out in a safe way. But what's interesting is the first 64 hours-ish are fasted. Now you have a shake that supports you because I work with high achieving women. I cannot ask them to go water fast in a cave. Like that's just not possible. And most of them, like 99% of the women I work with are moms as well. And so they can't put their life on hold for this. And so I like this protocol that I follow. It's one that was designed by Dr. Stephen Cabral. And I just love it because it's perfect for the busy women. And if you want, you can do it very surface level. Like I said, you could just push through. But what I do with my clients is when you're in that fasted state, you cannot numb or escape those feelings. You know how sometimes when we get triggered, we start snacking or we reach out for, let's say, a glass of wine or those kind of things. Well, when you're in the detox and when you're fasted, you can't do that. So it's showing you big time what has been needing to be seen for a long time. And by that, I mean, maybe it's stuck emotions, maybe it's unprocessed grieving, maybe it's things that have been lingering, holding you back that you haven't been able to see. And when you're in that fasted state and when you have all the supplements that support like the movement of toxins out, suddenly it's like you can see clearly. So the first few days they can be a bit emotional. They can be really intense, especially the first few experiences. But oh my gosh, the liberation and the space that it creates, it's amazing. Like I do it every season. And I have been for probably a couple years now. And what's interesting is now that I've done the heavy lifting, I would say I'm more like in a maintenance stage. Those fasted days are so potent for me. Like I get amazing intuitive downloads and creative and energy. It's just, wow. It's so powerful. So yeah, the liver detox, like the liver is an organ that we don't talk about enough. Like it's responsible for so many things. And it's often the bottleneck. It's where things are getting clogged up. And it's what's creating a lot of our symptoms because it's also filtering our blood every 6 minutes, keeping our blood clean. And so if it's sluggish, that means things are going to start slipping in your blood. And we know that when the blood is not clean anymore, that's when we start having disease. So it's a very powerful tool, but also an amazing way, like a highway to your body. You cannot escape that one, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. My next partner I want to talk about is Athletic Greens. So I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every single day. And I first gave AG1 a try when I was traveling to Costa Rica. I really wanted something to support my gut health, boost my energy, keep my immune system in check, and really just support me while I was traveling and not home. I quickly fell in love with it. And now that I'm back in Canada, I still take it every single day. And I take it in the morning before I have any type of coffee. Typically, it's like the first thing I have in the morning. And it makes me feel just fantastic. I feel like I'm starting my day off on the right foot. I feel like I'm covering all of my nutrition needs right from the get-go, which is super important and such a healthier way to start than just having coffee on an empty stomach right away. So I'm just obsessed with taking it. And if you want to take ownership of your health, today is a good time to start. Athletic Greens is giving you a free, 1 year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So those are the same travel packs that I took when I was flying. go to athleticgreens.com/biohacking with Brittany. That's athleticgreens.com/biohacking with Brittany to check it out today. It's also linked in my show notes and on my website everywhere. So you have your clients do this 1 week detox, and then 64 hours out of it is like this fasting, but there's like a fasting shake. So what happens, I guess, like during the rest of that week?
Yeah, so we follow like a low inflammation diet. So, of course, we remove anything that's processed, any sugar, any wine, coffee as well, which is often a hard one. We remove things like red meat and eggs. Not that these things are not good, it's just we know that they tend to create a little bit more inflammation in the body. So, during the detox, we try to remove as much as we can any stressor or any added inflammation to the body so that the liver really has more room to do its work and catch up. So, what it looks like is in the morning, it's a shake, and then at lunch, you have a vegetarian or a vegan lunch. So, often it'll be like a very beautiful big salad with maybe like roasted chickpeas or lentils or tofu if you can tolerate soy. And so you're not starving at all. Like it's actually a very whole food nutrition. And at night, you have a dinner that's more paleo style. So usually like a fish or some poultry and a large serving of vegetables. So like you don't run hungry on that detox, which is nice. You just learn to explore different foods and really, really rely on things that actually come from nature.
I love that. I'm doing about 100-day cleanse right now, roughly. And yeah, maybe it sounds more intense than it is, but it's similar to yours. There's about like 6 things that my husband and I are doing every day. And it's good. And it's been so interesting to watch him do it because so we just finished like 2 weeks of it. And I've done cleanses many times. Like I've done 75 hard. Like I did 75 hard once, and then I did 2 of my own versions of it, which is like a health challenge. I don't know if you know it, but anyway, so we're doing this cleanse, and it's interesting to watch him go through it as somebody who doesn't cleanse and detox as much as I do, because the first 2 weeks, like watching him struggle has like and mostly just because of the lack of alcohol, like the lack of processed food. And it kind of like just shows you how comforting those things are to so many people and how much we like rely on them. Like we feel happy, we want to drink. We feel sad and angry from work or burnt out, we want to drink. And it's just like all of the time. And I love that you have this as part of your program, because even if it's only a week, obviously it's going to do things on like a biochemical level, a cellular level, but it's also going to open your mind to how these foods and substances are like impacting you emotionally and like how much you actually might be relying on them.
Oh, it's so true. And it's funny because my husband also struggles when he does the detox. He doesn't do it as much as me. In fact, we did it last month, and on day 2, he was like lying on the couch and he was like, I think it's because I really love eating. And I'm like, well, we all love eating.
We
But
do.
there is something else. That's what I mean is often we will treat that glass of wine or, that bag of chips or those candy as a way to escape. And that's what I love about detoxing or cleanses or in whatever shape or form you're doing it. It's forcing you back in your body to see, okay, what am I trying to avoid right now? Or what am I trying not to feel right now? Or what am I trying to forget about? Because it's just pointing you in the right direction. It's showing you where you need to pay more attention and put more work, which is so great because we all know we could spend a decade in therapy and not even knowing, and then you can just force yourself into your body, no escapism. And then it's like flashing in neon lights. Like you cannot not see it. Right.
Yeah. What do you think about the people who think that cleanses and detoxes are like restrictive and they are like triggering and like problematic for a lot of people? Like there are people who criticize them online. So I'm always curious, like when I talk to people like you who are so for them? Like, what do you say to people like that?
I think there is no one size fits all. And I do have clients that come in with a baggage of eating disorder, and I actually completely change the protocol for them. And that's why I think you can absolutely detox on your own. And like I say, most likely you'll just push through it, not really being aware of what's happening. But I really love when I have the opportunity to do it with my clients and truly meet them where they are and tailor it. I am not about restriction in anything I do. In fact, I don't even like in my programs, we don't count calories. We don't track macros. We don't do that because it's, again, most people are so overwhelmed and busy. That's just a thing that will be too hard. So instead, I really introduce the notion of nourishment. And so to me, the detox is, and that's truly what it is when you look at the ingredients in there, is really about nourishing your liver, nourishing your body, nourishing your soul with the things that it's been craving for years. And so I really approach it like that. So it's not about the things we're not eating. In fact, it's about how are we going to nourish our body in a way that's plug and play with things that are coming from nature that your body we know is thriving on. And then we can use data, as a good biohacker, of course. Most of my clients have the Oura ring. And so we track and we see, sleep scores are through the roof, 90 plus during the detox. Their heart rate, their HRV is so high, their heart rate is low. So we can really truly see that when you're nourishing your body the way we're doing, that the body is responding extremely well. So to me, it's a non-issue. Like I actually don't buy into this narrative because I've seen it. Like I've supported now like almost 600 women on this. And so I've seen it time and time and time again. I think it's really about the approach.
You know that I seriously, seriously value the menstrual cycle and women's health. And I really care about helping women create more regular cycles, reduce their symptoms, and be able to just kind of live life easier and have more fun and not have to worry so much about these health issues that kind of plague a lot of women, including myself. So I've recently actually been taking a new supplement by a company called No Chi, and the supplement is called New Moon, and it is a supplement completely focused on menstrual support. It is rooted in traditional Chinese medicine and uses herbs like ginger, ginseng, and jujube that provide a ton of benefits, including relief from menstrual cramps, reduces bloating, helps ease PMS symptoms, and supports irregular cycles. I deal with all of that here and there. It always changes cycle to cycle, but I definitely deal with irregular menstrual cycles every single month or more than that. So I really love using this product, and I love using something that's rooted in nature, but also traditional Chinese medicine, because as someone who does acupuncture a lot and really respects traditional Chinese medicine, I can see how it can play such an important role in our tools that we use to help heal. So if you're dealing with any type of PMS, irregular cycles, you need menstrual support, I really suggest this product. I'm not taking anything else like it, and it's really, really fantastic. So that is by No Chi, and that's the supplement called New Moon, and I will link it in the show notes. It's also on my website. Go for it, try it out. Let me know what you think. You can use my discount. It's all linked right there for you. Yeah, no, I love that. I think you're so right. I'm curious if you help your kids do any type of cleanses or detoxes. Like, what's your approach with taking what you do and applying it to kids maybe under like 16, let's say?
Yeah. Well, of course I do. Detoxing is like a normal word in our family. And
Nice. I love that.
it's so funny to me. But anyway, I always think really the approach I have with my kids is when I'm detoxing, I never hide it from them. I always openly talk to them about why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that is the most important thing when you're on this health journey, when and you have people around you, whether it's your kids, whether it's your family, your partner, because it can be actually really confronting and challenging for people around you witnessing you going through this, because they'll be like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you making it so hard on yourself? And so I feel like when you're anchored on why you're doing it, it becomes so easy to diffuse those comments. And so with the kids, everything I do, I always explain to them why I'm doing it. And kids are so curious by nature, and it helps them to really, it helps them to just nourish that curiosity. And some things that I do, they'll be like, well, whatever. But some things they'll be like, oh, tell me more. Can I try? Can I try the shake? Can I try this? So I really nurture that curiosity. I think it's really important. And I've always done that very early on. I guess that's one thing I was trying to do well. But in terms of detoxing, so obviously they cannot do the protocol that I'm following. They cannot take the supplements and whatnot. But there are other, like a liquid formula that I like to use that will help to detoxify. It's primarily strong herbs. So I do use that. And then I utilize food a lot with kids, because that, at the end of the day, that's our primary source of nutrients, right? It's our primary source of micronutrients, of vitamins and minerals. And often we know that when we're in a state where we're not balanced, when we need to detox, it's usually because there is an underlying nutritional deficiency. And we know that most kids are eating like in such a bad way these days. No fault of the parents, but just because of the environment of what's available in grocery stores, of marketing and big food, all the things, it's hard for them to know what to eat. So with my kids, we follow, like we really connect with, okay, how does that make me feel? Do I feel good? And then I expose them to lots of different things. So they get to pick the things that they like. And so I use food a lot to detoxify. So for example, last summer I took them through a candida cleanse because they were showing a lot of symptoms of candida overgrowth, which often happens if ever. My kids don't really take antibiotics, but they did. My daughter did when she was younger, not my son. And so that can linger. That can create obviously bacterial overgrowth. And so anyway, I took them through that, and we primarily reworked the foods that they were eating to make sure that we weren't feeding the candida. And then we paired that with that herb tincture that I was referring to, and they had like tremendous success. And with kids, what's great is it doesn't take as long. Like they move through stuff much quicker than we do, which is great.
Yeah, there's less like accumulation over time.
Exactly.
And obviously, like organs tend to be like running a bit healthier and stronger as well. That's so interesting that you put them on a herbal tincture for candida. I had candida when I was younger, and I was actually thinking, I was wondering if I might have a flare up right now. Was it a tincture that you got from a naturopath, or do you recommend people can get like candida cleanses? Like there's even supplements, right? Like you can just get right off of Amazon. Do you think those are good too, or what do you think?
Yeah. So candida is such a hard one because so first of all, you cannot address candida on its own. You have to make sure that your drainage pathways are open first. So that's what a liver detox will do, creating flow back in the body. Then I never have clients move right into a candida cleanse because there's a missing link, and that's parasites. So because parasites build a little biofilm around them to kind of survive, they feed on candida, they feed on heavy metal, they feed on mold, and they kind of keep that in their biofilm. And so if you try to do a candida cleanse and you haven't looked into parasites, you might kind of just be hitting, like you're missing so much of it that is hiding in the biofilms. And doing a candida cleanse is hard, let's be honest. And it also is long. Like the one I recommend is 3 months. So it's a journey. And so I always want people that go through that to try to just have to do it once and then be done. And so I think there's like a method to the madness. I like to do a liver detox first, opening drainage pathways, making sure we have flow. Then I like to do a parasite cleanse, making sure we don't have anybody that's feeding off of you, right? Because those organisms are feeding off of you. They're getting first dibs on your vitamins and nutrients. So it's really hard to have the bandwidth to kill candida if you have that. And so then you can look into a candida cleanse, which is really a full microbiome rebuild almost. And so I think, yes, herbs can be helpful. I just find for adults, you need to do more. I didn't mention, but with my kids, I also was giving them a biofilm disruptor. So that's just creating like almost like imagine poking holes to that biofilm so that the herbs can get to the parasites or to the candida. So I was doing that with them. But yeah, I think whether it's parasites, whether it's candida, you have to always have a biofilm disruptor. And that's often what's missing with over the counter candida cleanses or any of the trendy things on TikTok. The truth is you're going to get to maybe 20% of the results. Yet you're going to put in all the hard work, right? And like the people I work with anyway, they don't have time to do this over and over and over and over again. Like they want it done. And I was like that too.
Are you tired of feeling out of sync with your body's natural rhythm? Do you struggle with menstrual cycle related issues like fatigue, mood swings, and bloating? If you're looking to optimize your health and well-being, look no further than the Ebb and Flow Cycle Guide. This comprehensive guide is designed to help you better understand and work with your menstrual cycle so you can improve your energy levels, reduce PMS symptoms, and gain a deeper understanding of your body. With in-depth information on each phase of the menstrual cycle, you'll learn how to adjust your diet, exercise routine, and self-care practices to better align with your body's needs. One of the biggest benefits of the Ebb and Flow Cycle Guide is its user-friendly format. The guide is easy to follow and provides clear instructions on how to optimize your health throughout each phase of your cycle. Plus, it's packed with valuable information and insights that you won't find anywhere else. So whether you're a seasoned biohacker or you're just starting out, the Ebb and Flow Cycle Guide is the perfect tool to help you optimize your health and live in harmony with your body's natural rhythm. And with my expertise and guidance, you can trust that you're getting the best information and advice available. So why wait? Head over to biohackingbrittany.com to get your copy of the Ebb and Flow Cycle Guide and start living your best life today. Yeah, I love that. What is the name of the biofilm disruptor that you recommend?
So I love the products from Equilife. So I tend to recommend a lot of those products. I recommend the Candida Cleanse on there. And the liquid tincture that I use with my kids, it's called Biocidin. It's also really, really awesome for adults. You'll just want to do a higher dose, but this is like one of those product that I keep in my pharmacy at all times. Like anytime I'm like suspecting something with my kids, because it's palatable, they get to hold it under their tongue. They don't have to swallow any big pills. Like it's actually really user friendly. And sometimes I'll do like a month ago, they were just kind of acting up weird. I pick up on symptoms right away. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you this twice a day for like 10 days. And then sure enough, it was completely gone after. So it's one of those things I like to keep in my pharmacy. I always travel with it. If someone gets, an insect bite that is suspicious or something, I'll start them on that. It's really amazing.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to look into that because like I said, like we're doing this cleanse right now. So it's a perfect time to just
Yeah, you could add that in
for a week, maybe 2 weeks. I'm going to read up on it and see what it recommends, especially, and I've talked about this on my podcast before, but cleansing and detoxing is before you're trying to get pregnant. It's not during the process. It's not when you're pregnant and it's not when you're breastfeeding. So you really have to be careful about the timing of it. And yeah, I think if I'm ever going to do it, now would be the time to like kind of make my bacteria in my gut, I guess, more robust and stronger and more diverse. So I'm very interested in that. I know you also have a sauna in your house, and I'm curious how that works with your kids as well. Like, do you bring your kids in there? Like, is that okay? Like,
Yes, I do. I bring them in, obviously not as long and not as, so usually mine takes about like 45 minutes to really reach the top temperature. So I'll bring them in as it's warming up, so it's in Fahrenheit's mine. So it'll be like at about 115, 120, not more than that. And then they'll stay in. That's the beauty again with kids, their drainage pathways are already open. Like they'll start sweating and they'll start sweating so fast. So for me, I need to see sweating enough that I can wipe, and I want them to stay in that state for maybe like 5 minutes. And then if I see that they've had a really good sweat, then I know that they were able to detox. And so usually it takes about 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. That's all. So it's quick. And we've put it in a place where they can actually see the TV. We're not big TV users in our home, but they do so we use that almost as like a way to make sure that they stay in because it's hot, right? It's not overly comfortable for them. And so that works amazing. Like they'll just watch a show and then when they're out, it's done. So,
nice. I like
sometimes
that.
we need to, dangle the carrot a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And how young do you think you would put a kid in, or like your kids in the sauna? Like how young?
Well, so we got a sauna in the first place because we got into a really bad mold exposure in our previous home. And it was awful. That mold, turns out it was connected also to my daughter's bedroom. And so she built this leaky gut. And we had no idea what was going on, but she became allergic and intolerant to everything. She would always be like on the couch having tummy aches. And I was like wrecking my brain. What's going on? And first thing you know, it was this massive mold that was hiding everywhere behind the walls that she got exposed to. And so we had to get a sauna. Like it was a necessity because we were all so like intoxicated by mold, including my daughter. So at the time, I think she was 5. Yeah, 5. And so we had to go in like all the time and we had to bring her in because it's really hard to detox from mold, even more for kids. So the sauna was really an instrumental part of our healing journey for that. And so, yeah, she was about 5 when we started doing it. And my son, I probably brought him in when he was 4. Yeah. But I mean, all of that would be to, I want to make sure I add a disclaimer. Like that's what we could discuss with, your naturopath or your physician, but that's something that I was comfortable doing. And like I say, I'm with them, right? I never let them go alone. I'm with them. I notice, like I pay attention. I look at their body. I pay attention to their sweating. And as soon as I see that they've been having a good sweat, and I always wipe their sweat so that they don't reabsorb it. So I know, like as soon as the towel is starting to get a little bit wet, I kick them out. And then of course, they always take a binder before. So I gave them charcoal. I usually give them like half a capsule that I'll put in their water bottle. And so they have a binder before they come in and lots of electrolytes and water inside.
Nice. I love that. Yeah. I think I've heard different things. I think what you're doing is smart, watching the sweat levels, water, electrolytes, just like being safe about it, I think is just really smart and probably the way that I would go about it as well. Something that you mentioned when we were at the conference was talking about detoxing after vaccines. And I want to just quickly ask you about this because it's so interesting. I actually had a follower on Instagram reach out to me recently and be like, hey, like, do you support clients in this? Like, I'd love to just detox after vaccines. We don't have to get into which ones, but what are your, I guess, like top things that you would do to kind of help somebody who has been vaccinated, whether it was COVID or childhood or just like different ones in general?
Yeah, I mean that's a bigger topic, but like of course we need to pay attention to the liver. It definitely those will put extra pressure on the liver. So doing a liver detoxification, and it does come in 7, 14, or 21 days. And I usually will gauge the length based on the frequency and the severity of symptoms. So if someone is really feeling like it's impacting the quality of their life, if it's something that they're really feeling every day, then we'll definitely do it 21 days. And then in terms of maintenance, there's great products, something like NAC, for example, that you could take every night to really, again, support the liver on an ongoing basis and really boosting your antioxidants level. So vitamin C, maybe glutathione as needed, zinc at night. I like to use zinc at night, not during the day, because at night, that's when we heal and rejuvenate the most. And that's really where zinc is a superstar, is supporting that. So, a high dose zinc at night. And really, at that point, when there's big reactions, usually it's because there was already a pre-existing condition in the body. That's really what I'm seeing. So maybe often it's things like heavy metals that were already present, or candida or parasites. And then that is just the one drop that made, I always talk about the rain barrel. So then at that point, sometimes the vaccine is just that drop that makes the rain barrel overflow, right? And so it's addressing the underlying root cause as well, and just building your body's resilience. There's a component of nervous system too, because that creates a bit of a vortex where you start feeling like you're not in control of your body, you don't know what's going on, and then that can trigger some limiting beliefs, there's something wrong with me, right? I don't know if that was a big pattern for me. And that will keep your nervous system on fight or flight. And then your body cannot shed that stuff when you're in that state. So it's not like a quick answer. To me, I like to approach it more holistically, but it's certainly doable.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think what you said about looking upstream is really important. And not a lot of people do that. Like, I have a friend who got vaccinated during COVID, and I don't know which one she got. I don't know how many, but she really struggled conceiving her second child. And her first child, she got pregnant the first time they tried. Then 3 years later, COVID happened, gets a bunch of vaccines. She went through 2 miscarriages, and now she's pregnant. She's a few months pregnant. I don't know if she used IVF. I should ask her, because I know she was looking at it. But she said to me, she's like, I bet you it was the vaccines. Like, I had no trouble before. Now I'm having trouble. What's happening? I think it was the vaccines. And so we had this big discussion about it. But what you said is so true, is like, it's not necessarily the vaccine that's making you that happen. I mean, maybe it is. We don't have enough research, but it's probably like it was just the last drop in the bucket that your body could handle. And now it was too much. There's too much inflammation. There's too much imbalance in hormones. There's too much cortisol or insulin or whatever it might be, right? So I think you're so spot on, where let's look at you as a whole and really factor into everything about what's going on with you right now. Hello, it's Brittany here, and I've got something life-changing to share with you. Sleep is crucial for our productivity, well-being, and beauty, right? No one wants to wake up with dehydration lines and dark circles. That has definitely happened to me. Picture this. You wake up feeling refreshed. Your skin is glowing. Yes, get it. And those pesky dehydration lines and dark circles, they're nowhere in sight. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not only possible, but it's also within your reach. I used to struggle with falling asleep. There was a time when getting a good night's sleep felt like chasing unicorns, tossing and turning, waking up multiple times and feeling like a zombie the next day. Seriously, that happened to me for a long time, until about 2019, 2020, when I started biohacking my sleep. But then recently it started happening again, and I actually uncovered the ultimate secret that's really been helping me, and that is magnesium breakthrough. It has completely transformed my sleep and got me sleeping so good again. So what's important to know is that not all magnesium supplements are created equal, so don't waste your time with over-the-counter options. Magnesium Breakthrough is the real deal. It combines 7 different forms of magnesium in a single capsule, giving you the full spectrum magnesium experience you need for optimal results. So here's my nightly routine that I've been doing. I take 2 capsules of magnesium breakthrough with water about an hour before bed. The effects are remarkable. I drift off faster and enjoy deeper, more rejuvenating sleep. And then when the morning comes, I wake up feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to conquer the day. And I wake up at 5 a.m., so I'm not messing around, okay? I need my good sleep. So say goodbye to restless nights and tired mornings and unlock your best sleep with Magnesium Breakthrough. Ready for my offer? Visit magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany and enter the code biohackingbrittany for a discount. We love discounts. Remember, this offer is only available on this special website. So if you go to Bioptimizer's normal website, it's not going to happen. It's not there. So don't let sleepless nights hold you back any longer. That's magbreakthrough.com/biohackingbrittany. Use my discount code biohackingbrittany to save. Woo woo. And let me know how your sleep is going.
Yeah. That being said, anybody on a fertility journey, like doing a liver detox before is so important because, you don't want, like for the first time, the data now is showing that babies are born toxic right now with more than 200, I think it's 217 on average toxins that have been found in umbilical cords. And this has never happened before. And it just like makes my heart, and so it's really something that's asking for our attention. And that's why and for me, it was such a big game changer in giving, in expediting, my healing. But I see it in my clients that are trying to conceive and that are having a hard time. The minute we start bringing more flow, opening drainage pathways, heavy metal is a big one also when you're trying to conceive. If you've been having lots of miscarriages, like you kind of owe it to yourself to look there. What's great with heavy metals is it's a super easy hair test. You can also just go based off of symptoms, really, because you can't go wrong with doing a heavy metal cleanse. But yeah, so that's something that's important to also look at when you're in a fertility journey. And that's something I wish I had known because I didn't know about this when I got pregnant. But if I had to do it again, I would totally, totally do that before trying.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's like something I'm so interested in. So if people want to work with you and they want to sign up and potentially be a client or be on this program with you, like how does it work? How does the program work?
Yeah, so I actually have like a few different ways. I still take about 2 or 3 one-on-one clients a month for now. I don't know how long I'll be able to continue, but that's an option. And I work on a 3-month basis because I need at least 12 weeks to get you some tangible results. The truth is it probably took you a decade or more to get where you are. So there is no overnight miracles. And if you see something on TikTok that's telling you so, maybe be curious, ask questions because it's rarely the way it works. That being said, the body wants to return to a state of balance at all times. So the minute you start, locking in the right pieces of the puzzle, it can happen pretty fast. So I have the one-on-one, and then I also have, I call it a hybrid coaching program. It's called the Energy Upgrade, which is also the name of my podcast. And in the Energy Upgrade, I have weekly master classes where I teach live for 60 minutes on a different topic, whether it is detoxification, supplementation, whether it's sleep, nervous system, hormones, whatever, you name it. Every week is a different thing. Masculine energy, feminine energy, mindset. And then on top of that, we meet one-on-one. And so that one is like literally a vortex of transformation. Like people are just, and I was just telling you offline before, like today I had 3 clients who are like moving on to their dream career and taking the leaps because they finally can feel like themselves again. They can finally tap into that higher version of themselves. They finally have removed the things that were holding them down. And it's just like, wow, it brings me so much joy. But at the same time, I'm always like, are you sure? I need to add a disclaimer on my waiver. And then I'm launching in the fall. I'm super excited about that, like a new program that will combine health and business because I do have a strong entrepreneurship journey. I built and sold a 7-figure business. And even though I did burn myself out, I have learned a thing or two along the way. And now I'm really approaching it with a completely different eye. And I feel like more women need to know about this. And so I'm launching my first health and business coaching program in the fall. It's going to be called Femme Biohacker.
Nice.
Because to me, biohacking, a lot of people think it's like all the tools and the technology and the innovation. And yes, it's that. But to me, biohacking is something we get to become. We get to become a biohacker in the way we live our life. It's something that becomes our way of being. And I believe that the same way that you're alive and you have energy, so does your business. And your energy has a huge impact on your business, and the needs of your business and the energy of your business has a big impact on yours. And so I've really come to kind of build a method around that, where there's this beautiful foundational flow of energy between both, so that you can really tap into full abundance, really unveil possibilities, collapse timelines, and get massive results.
I love that. We'll have to bring you back on the podcast when that comes out because I'm just so interested in that. Obviously, biohacker, entrepreneur, woman, like you're right. That's right up my alley. Send me up. Yeah, send me the link. I love that. But I'm so curious about working with you from a detoxification standpoint.
We'll get you on the detox.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll definitely talk to you off air about that. And I will update everyone listening as I go through that, because I just think we really need to be talking about this more. And I will put the links and everything into the show notes and on my website so everyone can find you, because what you're doing is so important and I appreciate it so much. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was so fun and easy to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. And I can't wait to have you on mine.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for listening to another episode of Biohacking with Brittany. If you're interested in finding the show notes or the sponsors for this episode, you can do so on my website, which is biohackingbrittany.com. Remember to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active. My handle is @biohackingbrittany. And if you're interested in working together and you want to email me directly, you can do that. My email is info@biohackingbrittany.com. And I look forward to hearing from you and having you tune in next week.